like, I'm going to teach. I'm like, here's the bold. Here's the vocabulary in the green box on the left-hand side. Here's your flashcards. Like
intro, discussion, act.
Welcome to the podcast. This is Building Brevard with PJ McLaughlin. This is episode 1, and today my guest needs no real introduction, especially from me. It is Ann Conroy-Baiter from Junior Achievement. Ann, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much. I wanted to start with, we met through Lead Brevard.
Yes, we did.
The best class ever.
The best class ever.
And I give a lot of credit to Lead Brevard because I don't know that we'd still be in Florida without Lead Brevard. Right?
Oh, wow. That's a lot of credit.
It's a lot
amazing.
of credit.
Thank you, Lead Brevard.
Thank you, Lead Brevard.
On behalf of Brevard.
And we were introduced to Lead from Lead Brevard into Junior Achievement, which you were running at the time.
Yep.
And though I want to absolutely dive into Junior Achievement, let's talk about the young Ann, the Ann before Junior Achievement.
Oh, God. The Ann before, how young?
You start. You get to pick the day.
How far back are we going? Let's see. I'm turning 53 on Sunday. So, there's a lot of beginning. Let's see. I grew up in upstate New York, hour and a half south of Buffalo. I am the daughter of a university professor. Fluent in 8 languages. I speak 1. And my mom was a librarian at that same university, St. Bonaventure University, but also an artist. So I'm one of 5 kids, Irish-American family, a lot of chaos, a lot of potatoes and butter. And so that's the very beginning. I went off I wanted to see the world. So I went, I chose my college from the city. I knew I wanted to be in Boston, and I ended up getting accepted at Tufts University, and which is an awesome school. But it was a perfect mixture of getting to know the world. And I got a great internship with the Peace Corps, and I had a fantastic 4 years. And then, thus begins the ping pong part of my life. So I spent a year in Seattle. I spent 4 in D.C. I spent 5 in Portland, Oregon, back to New York for another 14, and then landed here 9 years ago.
And nowhere in the middle.
Nowhere in the middle.
In my geography there.
And this is my first South also. Like I was like pure Northern before I got here, and it comes out once in a while. But let's see, in D.C. I worked for a consulting company. I ran the creative division at a very young age. But I learned all sorts of things about marketing and about attention to detail and about customer service and media buying and print buying and all those things, which then I applied to. I started a business in Portland, Oregon. It's called Labyrinth Event Group, and we manage nonprofit fundraisers. So all the things I picked up in job 1, I applied to job 2. And then back to New York. My parents both went downhill. So my ex-husband and I were elected to take care of them through their final year, but we ended up staying. And I had a few babies, but I love to work, so I knew I needed to do more. So I launched an art business, which I still do today. I do commissions and graphic design and all sorts of things. But I also became executive director at the what was then called the Cattaraugus County Arts Council. It's now the Tri-County Arts Council of Western New York. There for 8 years, and then ended up down here.
And ended up here for JA, or ended up?
Nope. My ex-husband's parents live in Cocoa Beach.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave it there.
So how did JA come onto the scene?
I was actually hired first by the city of Palm Bay. Believe it or not, I was in the marketing department of the...
Wait.
I know.
City of Palm Bay has a marketing department?
Each of their main divisions has a marketing and I was in the utilities department. So
marketing for utilities.
Yeah. So in 2014, it was part-time. It was to get my foot in the door and get me down here. But in 2014, the utilities department of Palm Bay had a gorgeous 4-color brochure all about water quality. That was me.
I was going to say, like, marketing, utility. You have beautiful power.
Actually, I know a lot of weird facts about water now. Like, every drop of water on this earth has been here from the very beginning. And odds are, in your daily cup of coffee, at least one molecule has been through a dinosaur. How's that?
Very interesting.
So
Gonna add water and dinosaurs to my list.
yeah, there we go. So about 4 months into that, my mother-in-law sent me the ad that Kristen Schreiner, my predecessor, was leaving. And I said, okay, I'm going to go for it. So I went through the hiring process through JA USA, who helped out the local JA. And ta-da! I think it was July 8th, 2014.
2014?
Yeah, that I...
What was JA like when you took over?
It was really cute. No, it was littler. So Kristen Schreiner did an amazing job stabilizing JA. All of Florida was hurting in the previous years, as we all know. And through her leadership, she built a board of directors that was solid. They had solid programming. So I walked into an organization that was ready to fly. It was a luxurious place to land. And I'm not saying we don't work hard, but it was just that solid foundation that you need in order to take a venture further. I think very entrepreneurially, always have. So, I took the first year or so to think about things and observe. But my partner in crime, my VP of Education, Candace Hodge, and I hit it off from day one. I have a funny story about that. You want to hear it?
Yeah, love to.
So I come from New York State, and we are a little more dressed up there. And not only that, I had no idea what it would be down here. And my first day of work, I'm looking at the board of directors, and it's the CEOs and the presidents and the entrepreneurs and the who's who.
So that was the foundation that she built.
Yeah. And it was a hell of a board. And I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I was terrified. And I was all dressed up. And at the end of the first day, Candace looks at me and she goes, "It's so cute you wore heels." I was like, and scene. That's the last time I'm wearing heels unless I have a meeting. So she and I have hit it off from day one. So,
funny enough, I have a JA wardrobe story. Because,
you do?
Because we were moving, right? In Silicon Valley, it's very black tie for events. And I went to my first cocktail attire and I was grossly overdressed. So I'm going to the Junior Achievement Business Hall of Fame. And it says like black and white. I'm like, yeah, but this is Brevard. Like I wore a brown suit with a yellow shirt and a red tie.
Did you really?
To a black tie event.
Oops.
I stuck out like I was as red as red because I was like, oh,
nobody minds.
Nobody told me this was actually a Brevard black tie.
Yes, actually, we still have a black tie event.
Yeah, I've learned.
Yes, yeah. You've been looking sharp since then. I'm sure you look sharp anyway. Come on now.
I look sharp, but not appropriate.
No, wardrobe stress. Yeah. So, I walked into an organization. We were. It was different. We were reaching about 8,000 students a year. We were doing mostly elementary, about 80% elementary school. And we're not only that, we were doing traditional delivery of JA, which is a volunteer goes in 6 weeks in a row and delivers the program. So Candace, at that point, was managing 300 different volunteers in 300 classrooms, which means 300 teachers at a bunch of different schools. And I'm thinking about the capacity of a small nonprofit, and
that's like more than one a day.
Yeah, it made no sense whatsoever. So we strategically have been steering the organization in different directions towards more staff capacity, towards more impact, and more partnerships with the local community.
We really didn't talk about it. What is Junior Achievement?
Oh yeah, that.
I know it. I tell people nonstop what it is. So, but I'm going to let the honors.
We should let you do it, and I'll grade it. Okay, Junior Achievement teaches students in its most distilled form. We are teaching students life skills and mindsets so they can thrive in their futures. So when you think about that, what is it that kids don't learn? And this is not just now. This has been for generations. The U.S. education system, Florida's education system is excellent. Brevard Public Schools, I will not say a bad word about it. They nail it. However, there are so many mandates and so many things they have to teach to that a lot of the life skills that used to be taught in school are no longer. So we focus on 3 things: financial literacy. So that is all the money skills that we use every single day. Do I use my debit? Do I use my credit? Can I afford a new car? Can I not afford a new car? What's the mortgage rate today? Like all those things that we as adults need. And we're all probably the same adults that our first day on a college campus, we accepted the first credit card that was handed to us because I had a free gift. So we're trying to teach the students a little more street smarts, actually, if you come down to it, about money.
Yeah.
Second thing is workforce development. Kids when they grow up, right? They know what their parents do, kind of, if the parents aren't too stressed to talk about it at night, right? They know teachers and they know the principal. They know everybody who works in the school. They know nurses, doctors. They know, hopefully not too many policemen or lawyers. No offense to all the policemen and lawyers out there. But other than that, it's a big old question mark about, and yet they're asked every single day, what are you going to be when you grow up, right? Yeah. So they get it from TV and they get it from...
I want to be an astronaut.
Yeah, exactly.
And on the Space Coast.
Yeah, exactly. And we love to hear that. But if you go into a second grade classroom, it's gender equity. You'll get equal answers from boys and girls about, I'm going to be an astronaut, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to be, whatever. Right. By the time they get a little bit further, we're seeing the boys go towards YouTuber, influencer, they go towards sports stars, they go into more fantastical. The girls go into, well, it used to be Disney star, no longer, but they want to be TikTokers, they want to be YouTubers, they want to...
A Swiftie.
Yeah. So what we do is we try to get a variety of volunteers into classrooms to expand the horizons of what kids can think they can be when they grow up. And we've got specific programs I can go into detail with, but that's workforce development. And actually, one more thing, workforce development also allows JA to partner with the business community. It allows us to get support from the business community because we listen to them, what their needs are, and what they need from the future workforce. So that works out well, too, on the business side and the education side. And then the third thing is entrepreneurship. So we are trying to plant the seeds for young people to become entrepreneurs. It's a big word for a really important function in society.
Terrible French word.
It is really
drives me crazy.
Surprising we haven't replaced that yet, Americans are usually not going to put up with a word like that. But any thriving economy, the majority of businesses are small businesses, and small businesses, the majority of them are entrepreneurs. So we try to plant those seeds early so that kids kind of, we do a lot of strength assessments and self-identifying because not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
But the interesting thing, too, is in the past 10 years, there's been increasing awareness that intrapreneurship is really vital to those larger companies. So now we can tell the kids, you might want to be an entrepreneur, but you can apply entrepreneurial skills in any career you do because thinking outside of a box is essential these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I think big businesses always need that, right?
Absolutely. And there's more recognition. If you look at L3 Harris and Northup, they have intrapreneurship programs where they reward ideas. So that can be, those spin-offs from those major companies are a big deal. And there's a lot of people who have the passion and the knowledge of what they want to do, but they don't have the business skills to support it. That goes from not only the STEM nerds, but artists and performers and real estate and everybody. If you don't have the business skills to support your passion, then entrepreneurship can be a really difficult passage.
What about some of the other programs that you guys are running, though? Because you guys are traditional JA, right? Mm-hmm. We love that going into the classroom, but what about outside the classroom programs?
Yeah, we try to connect kids with the local business community and local community because it's really essential for kids to know they're embraced by their community. The community cares who they become. Right. So the easiest way to do that is job shadows. So we will take a classroom of kids into, let's say, a podcast studio where they might be studying digital media in Brevard Public Schools. The CTE programs have all sorts of specific programs. Viera's got one, and I think there's a bunch more. so that they can go into a workplace, take a look around and be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to go into this. And here, a job shadow also, if we go to a company like OneWeb Satellites, we not only have the CEO, if possible, speak to those kids about going into that industry, but we go right down the line to the manufacturing line workers who might love what they do and they have a solid career, so that kids are exposed to all levels of careers within a certain business.
Yeah. I was thinking more on the lines of like STEM and what's the business blast off?
Yeah,
what's
the
the
challenges. I'll do women in STEM first because it's my baby.
Yes.
So most people know I have 3 daughters.
Yes.
And I'm a little bit proud of them. And there was a day my daughter came home from school. She was number 1 in math at Cocoa Beach IB. And she met with a guidance counselor and came home. I was like, what are we going to do? What are you going to do with your life? And I was all excited. And she says, I'm going to either be a nurse or a teacher. And my jaw dropped. That is not a diss against nursing or teaching. They are essential. And as I told Rowan, those we have so many teachers and so many nurses and doctors and all sorts of things within our family. But we live on the Space Coast, and the girl's number 1 in math. And nobody mentioned engineering. Nobody mentioned this like amazing economy we have based on, Anyway, right. Thus was born. We call it JA GLOW, Women in STEM. GLOW stands for Get It, Learn It, Own It, Want It. Because a lot of young women these days self-eliminate from math and science.
Of course.
Unfortunately. I know. A lot of kids these days are, because of social media, there's a lot of pros to social media. I won't say it's evil. I will not. However, kids these days have this false perception of perfection. And so, especially young women, we've seen as soon as they are not good or perfect at something, they are no longer interested in it. So we are trying to inspire young women to pursue those STEM careers. It's a great program. We reached 8,000 young women on the Space Coast last year. It's assembly style. We go to a school. We get 1 or 2 grades at a time. I'll have 2 or 3 speakers of women who work in the STEM sector, and they say, here's where I started. Here's where I am now. Here's all the mistakes I made along the way. Here's all the successes I had along the way. And here are some lessons I can share. And then we open up, we let the students send in questions. And the questions are so consistently insightful. Those kids know what they don't know. They're thirsty for knowledge. And they want to be inspired. So that program's been a great success. And then
Women power.
Yeah, go girls. Yeah. You're living with some kind of strong women.
Yes. Redheaded women.
Yeah. The best kind. Okay, and then also getting kids into the community. We have 2 different challenges we have going now. Mm-hmm. One is a social innovation challenge. And that is going into its 13th year. It's been very well supported by the Balda Family Foundation for a long time. And this is that program where we are planting the seeds early for entrepreneurs. So what it is the kids go through pretty intense classes in classroom with a volunteer. They come up with a business idea. They come up with the marketing and the financials. They create a lean business plan. They do all the things that an entrepreneur would do to set up a business. And then we have a capstone event. So all these kids, this year it is going to be, I believe, March 7th at EFSC, the Student Union. These students will come there for the day. I think we're going to be around 200 students this year. It'll be our largest yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's going to be the biggest.
Yeah, we're 6 schools now. And they will present their business ideas in teams, so they also learn teamwork, but they have to present in front of panels of judges. If I was a high school kid, man...
It blows my mind.
Right?
Every year.
Right?
Every year.
They're
I would
so
say
brave.
2 things. If you're not following along, it's basically a high school Shark Tank.
Yes,
we can't call it Shark Tank.
Well, no, I was given permission to call it Shark Tank.
Oh.
I know.
We love a patent attorney
yes,
on our board.
Yes, we do.
And if you're like even remotely scared of going into the classroom and talking about yourself, just show up and be a judge.
Yeah.
If you're a business-minded person, like go be a judge and get humbled pretty quickly.
Yeah, it is. What I tell people about that event is the surest way to optimism about the future of the U.S. that you can possibly get. Our kids these days, there's so much bad talk about kids. They are amazing. They are engaged. They know what they want to do. They know where they want to go. They just don't know how to get there. And so that's where JA steps in, where we provide the programs and the mentors to provide some guidance. Those kids on that day, they have to like stand up, present to these panels of judges, and then defend their ideas. And the judges do not go easy. They do not go easy. They're like, your cash flow on year 3.
Right.
I'm in the background going, ixnay on the cash flow stuff, stop that. They don't know that much. So, and then we pick 4 final teams, and they go on to a stage with the final round of judges, just like Shark Tank, and have to present in front of a live audience. And again, and we choose the winners. The winners win Florida Tech scholarships. They win pretty sizable cash prizes. And for the past 2 years, one of our 4 teams, so this past year, our 4th place team from Viera won the JA National. They got 2nd place at the JA National competition. And a year before that, I think it was another Viera team, went on to the JA National competition, also got 2nd place, and they ended up on CNBC. So it's like providing real connections, real inspiration to these kids that normally, would be in their economics class, just chugging away at their textbooks. And
teacher says, I need to read this chapter, take this test.
Yep.
Oh crap, I got to go present in front of a bunch of adults.
Yep.
An idea that I thought of last week and wrote a business plan around.
And they're just so brave. I just have
they're smart too.
Super
smart.
One of my favorite moments every single year, I almost have a pool on it, like who's going to be the one who's going to say this to me this year. The first time it was said to me was Larry McIntyre, retired president of Clear Channel Outdoors, laureate, JA laureate, like extremely successful human being, walks out and he said, I was the dumbest person in the room all day long.
So true, right?
Yep.
Like,
and then
humbling.
we have another challenge. We're starting this year. It's the JA Stock Market Challenge. And it's been around. JA Miami was one of the groups that started it. This was just their 8th year they've done it. And what we do is, well, anybody's got a teenager right now, knows their kids on TikTok and Snapchat constantly. Right. And what they are seeing, a lot of what they're seeing are day traders on private jets and talking about how they made tens of thousands of dollars in a couple of days and these
in an hour.
And plus, in an hour. And then a couple of years back, the AMC Robinhood investing thing, all the teenagers got into day trading during that. So this program, volunteers in classrooms, again, we're in 8 different schools with this program, and they are learning the pros and cons of long-term investing, the smart way to invest, the safer way to invest,
My mind went straight to like, we're going to have to call it the crypto challenge soon.
I know, right?
Like,
exactly.
They're going to be like, what are stocks?
Exactly.
I buy coins.
And JA will keep up with it. I'm happy to say that JUSA is really good at keeping up with curriculum. But 200 students will be going head-to-head in a stock market simulation at the Crowne Plaza on November 16th. We are so excited. It's a really, really fun experience, impactful, where these kids really get to put their knowledge to work. And the simulation's brilliant. They're 1 minute equals 1 day of trading. But there's news flashes, like a pipeline in Russia just blew up. What does that do to the prices? The kids have to react to news stories as they go, and it's a brilliant program. One of the more fun parts of this event, though, because we have to raise revenue to run JA to get to those students, we have sponsors, and the sponsors get to come back that night and have teams to do the same simulation. So they get wine, they get dined, and then they get to do the stock market challenge as well.
Wait, so the adults have to compete against the kids?
No.
Oh, okay.
We would lose.
Well, I know. That's what I was saying. It could end really badly.
No, they get
to a high school team and stock challenge.
We should do that, though. We should have the winning team come in and clean the house. So this is our first year of doing this one, so it's a little bit scary. We're 3 weeks out, maybe a little overwhelmed. But the thing is, though, 8 schools, 200 students. It's a complete, we can't go wrong. This is a success already, and it's part of JA's broader turn from revenue sources that are transactional, just special events, the ones that don't have much mission infused, towards revenue streams that are student centric. If we can, like the Innovation Challenge and like the Stock Market Challenge, if we can really make an impact on a student's life while we are raising revenue and show sponsors, like really show them what is happening, that's precious. Yeah.
Right. Where do you see JA in the next 10 years?
Let's see.
Or 5 years?
Or 5 years.
How long? You're 9 years then?
Yeah, I'm 9 years here.
In?
Yeah.
So where do you see it in 9 years from now?
9 years.
We're at the halfway point.
Okay, so I have to back up in order to tell that story, to answer that question. 2 years ago, former commissioner Christine Zonka came to the Hall of Fame, our big gala, and which is mission infused. You learn a lot about JA at this event.
Absolutely.
Yep. And she walked away from that telling one of my board members, Carol Craig, I have some funding and I think I want to talk to JA about it. So that was the beginning of what became a $700,000 grant through the CARES Act, that we received, which is a gigantic amount of money for a small agency. So what we did, Candace Hodge and I sat down and thought, where do we want to make the most impact? You know, we're not gonna just buy stuff with this. We've got to impact students. So we created what's called the JA Hope Project. Mm-hmm. It's a 4-year project at 2 different schools: Cocoa Junior Senior, which is the only Title I secondary school in Brevard, and Heritage High School, which in the South, which has similar demographics. We have embedded a JA employee at each of those schools, and the idea is that every student at those schools and their footprint, the elementary feeder schools, has JA programming from day one. So they have it every year, every single year of their educational career, so that when they graduate as seniors, they are the most financially literate, the most well-grounded in career and education choices, the most likely to become entrepreneurs and come back and invest in their own communities that Brevard's ever seen. The ultimate intent, let's eliminate generational poverty. Let's infuse these communities with life skills and mindsets, so that everybody's aiming for success and everybody brings everybody along with them. And because essentially that's what Brevard is.
Yeah. I mean, you shared some of the numbers that came out of Cocoa, and it was like,
yeah,
that's in our backyard.
It's
that's
a very little known fact that Endeavor Elementary School is in one of the second poorest community in Florida, not Brevard, in Florida. Right. And it's such a weird dichotomy with this thriving business community and all these people who want to do good, to have that in our community. And it's not for lack of community within that community. The communities surrounding Cocoa Endeavor are community focused. They are strong. They are networked. They just need some life skills and mindsets, right? So we feel like we're going to the right place to deliver the right messages with the right people. We're hoping we are doing that.
Oh, I've been on campus at Cocoa multiple times, right? Like, it's a safe place.
Yeah.
Come write a job application. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Fill out a resume.
Yeah. And let me clarify. That's not JA doing that. That is, Cocoa's a fantastic school. They are wonderful. We're just adding another layer of community support. We're just adding another layer of
I think about it like, you know, I was a student athlete, right? So you always had this coach that you could go to.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have a coach, who'd you go to?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you might have a mentor as a teacher, or
yes,
somebody that you could kind of bounce ideas and thoughts. And in our business, we call it the drunk monkey, right?
Monkey?
If a monkey was, you gave a monkey a bunch of alcohol and a drum set, they'd just wail away in your head, right? Like, it's just you're those negative limiting beliefs, right? And
yes, the drunk monkey.
Everybody has them.
Absolutely. And for me, it was my art teacher, and actually band and art. We are trying to make sure that our JA people at those schools are that safe place. Right. They are the connection with the outside community that kids can go to for internships, for advice, for advocating to get JA programs into their classrooms. And we have 2 fantastic project managers. Letitia Griffin is at Cocoa High School. Terry Johnson's at Heritage. And it's early days. But the impact they're having already has been pretty spectacular. So
they're running speaker series too. So
yeah.
Another way to volunteer, if you go into the classroom for 30 minutes and tell people what you do, how you got there.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it.
And field some questions.
Absolutely.
And make a difference and an impact.
Absolutely. It's so easy. It's called JA Speaker Series. And we just ask people where you started. Like, tell the kids where you started, because that's super important. A lot of these kids feel very isolated, and they're the only ones who are going through things like this. And some of the most successful people in Brevard are like, I started this way, and you see jaws drop. Right. And here's where I am now, and here's how I got there, and here's how I worked, and here's the education, and here's like all the characteristics of what makes a leader and what makes a successful person. Sharing that level of information for those kids is really important. And it's also that broadened spectrum thing, right? So we try to get people from all walks of life into the classroom. Yeah, I had
to back up like an astronaut. They were like, oh, here's PJ coming in. Like, we just had Bob come in and talk.
Did you really?
He literally went to the moon, and here's PJ to tell you about real estate. Kids are like, oh. Great. But I brought in a compound interest calculator, and I got their attention really quickly.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's all good.
No, yeah, because not everybody wants to be an astronaut, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I was like,
my youngest wants to.
Did you buy something for $500 at one point in your life? Cell phone, PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever number they're on now, right? Like, did you buy something? What if you just put that in a compound, right? And they're like, huh? Like, it's worth, like, I could buy a car with that. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And my youngest is going to be interning with you, so real estate's very. Yeah. So
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. So here's what we want to do, and this is me as the leader of JA, but this is also the board. I have a fantastic board, and this was one of the focuses we talked about at our strategic retreat this year. That this Hope project, it's scalable and it's efficient. It is not expensive. So what we would like is in 5 years to be in several more schools. Not this year because we are still kind of building the foundation, but I think starting next year we will start approaching other schools to be our next Hope school. That's the education side of it. The business side of it is we are working on our philanthropy approach at JA, and we are going to be asking companies and individuals to underwrite schools. It's on the larger scale of major gifts. It is a very efficient ask. Right. That will possibly impact generations of kids in this community. So that's where we'll be in 5 years. I hope to be in, let's be ambitious, let's say 3 more schools. So we'll have 3 more JA Hope schools.
Well, I think it's an important point to like, and I know you had a very strong foundation when you came in, but you don't just walk the talk. You're actually like growing this as a business to like, right, like $700,000 that gets to go back into the school. Yeah. Like, that's not like, oh, yeah, we're throwing a gala and, we hope we're reaching enough students. It's like everything at JA is tracked and measured.
Yes. Oh, gosh, we measure everything. I'm a big believer in data because, there's a fallacy that nonprofits aren't businesses, right?
Right.
It is a fallacy. We are a functioning business, and my business mentality is to win. So the student reach when I first started was around 7,000. We'll be over 20,000 this year. I just turned in our first $1 million budget. When I first came in, it was 1/3 of that. So we're doing
big things.
Yeah, big things. And because it's a big mission, I ran the Arts Council in Western New York. And on my last day of work there, I remember driving to work and thinking, I loved every single day of this. And I did similar things up there. I expanded it. I ran a business incubator for artists. I had a federal grant to have regional and Seneca Nation of Indians work together. So I think entrepreneurially, but I remember like very clear thought, I loved every single day of this. Will I ever find something like that again? Like, it's a big risk to leave something you love. And about a year into this job, I thought to myself, oh, wow, yeah. Like, this is bigger. This is a lot more potential. No offense to the arts community in Western New York, but it's just a different potential. And not only that, but I get to do it with people that I enjoy working with. And we, Candace and I are at this point an old married couple. And I remember when COVID hit, so the COVID, we had our Hall of Fame 2020 on March 6th. And I remember looking at my board chair that morning and saying 2 more days and we would have had to cancel. There's no doubt. And they're like, no way. 2 days later, you called and yeah, you were right. Yeah. Like we would have had to cancel. And we were under the Saturn V, black tie, not brown suits,
and it wasn't
and yellow
a super
shirts.
spreader.
Under the Saturn V, the largest thing ever sent into space, with 500 people in the room, all supporting this mission. It was, and we inducted Bob Cabana, the astronaut that you had to follow, and Frank DeBello, Space Florida, who has made the partnership between private and government entities possible. SpaceX, hello. You know how many launches a day these days.
I was just in San Diego. I was like, yeah, we had 2 last week. They're like, 2?
Rocket launches? In the same day. And I missed one of them. And then in the Herndons, Don and Julie Herndon, Classic Wood Flooring, this wonderful philanthropic, highly successful entrepreneur couple. So we're on this high of an amazing evening celebrating these people, and school's closed. And all of a sudden, we literally couldn't get JA into classrooms. It went from that to 0 in a matter of 1 week. And about another week passed, and Candace and I were on a phone call. I'm like, okay, we need to go back to the mission. We need to go back to the mission. How do we apply the mission to this circumstance? Because this is exactly what we ask students to do. This is exactly what business people need to do. They need to look at crises as emergencies and adapt and pivot. I hate that word. Everybody hates that word. It's an allergic word these days. Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that and circle back.
I know, right?
Let's unpack that a little bit more.
I keep using circle back in email still, and Candace is like, that is the number one most annoying thing to say these days. I actually synonymed it, and I'm like, what do you say instead of circle back? Anyway. Back to the mission. And so how do we get into classrooms if we can't put people in classrooms? So we took that speaker series you mentioned and asked one of our longtime board members, Mark Malik, we're like, we have this idea. Would you take your cell phone, prop it up in front of you, and answer these 5 questions, do it in no more than 15 minutes? And he's like, yep. He got it back to us by midnight that night. By that Saturday morning, I had a $20,000 grant from SunTrust to fund this. And within a month... Yeah,
because we had some upload, download.
Yes,
that
exactly.
was fun. We weren't in a podcast studio where they have all those capabilities.
I know. Back then it was like...
100 terabytes? No problem. We'll download that tomorrow.
I know. So, we had about 30 to 40 videos on a YouTube library within a month that we were able... And assessments. This was key for teachers, so that they could assign these videos to students remotely and know that they did them, know that they learned something from the experience. And that at that point we were the second smallest JA in the country. There are 109 JA area offices. We were the second smallest. Our program was rolled out nationally. So,
well, you tend to break a lot of
we break the rules.
That's the running joke. Like, we're the second smallest and number 1.
Yeah, we try to be as much as we possibly can be.
Just follow us.
Yeah,
just follow the Space Coast. We're doing something.
Don't
right.
tell any other JA office we say that though.
No problem.
Well, the Hope program is a little workaround too. We couldn't afford there's
you can't teach entrepreneurship and not be an entrepreneur.
Exactly. Yeah, some try to though. Yeah. So there's 10 years. We hope to scale up this Hope program. We think it's powerful.
So for somebody who's watching this, how can they get involved with junior achievement other than, of course, speaker series? I mentioned a couple of them, but what else is JA looking for from our community?
So there's 2 things that make JA work. One's the investment side. One is the volunteer side. I'll do volunteer first. So we're looking for a couple different flavors of volunteer. One are those elementary school. I mentioned when I first started JA that it was very inefficient. 300 different volunteers, 300 different classrooms. Yep. We've gone to what's called a J in a Day method. And that is we place a volunteer in every single classroom of one school, usually Title I, for a single day. And they deliver the 5 sessions back to back during that day. Kids still get to go to lunch and recess and whatever they need to do to be healthy.
Yep.
We find those volunteers with company partnerships. So the ideal day in a day is when Bianca Booz, our education coordinator, best name ever, works with one company representative, one school representative, and we make the whole thing happen.
Take over the school.
We take over the school.
With junior achievement education.
Yeah. Last Friday, Palm Bay Elementary had their, I'm going to guess, it's probably like the 12th or 13th year in a row of J in a Day. L3 Harris filled every classroom, and all those kids got a full day of age-appropriate programming. So it's K through 6, and the kindergartners are learning about wants and needs, and the 6th graders are learning about global economics and fair trade agreements. So it is
the 6th graders scare me still.
I know, right?
I cut off at 4th grade when they still like me.
The hot dog stand.
Oh. Bring in all the food truck volunteers I can. You're going to teach hot dog stand.
Exactly. So they're age appropriate, and the kids love it. They're fun activities. So any of those longtime schools I've been working with, on the first day of school, the kids are like, when's our J in a day? When is our J in a day? So the kids love it. And the companies who partner with us get a great team building community impact splash for their employees.
And all of the material that you're going to present is provided and like more than provided.
Yeah.
It is done in a packet that is, you can pick it up. I can teach it to you in an hour of what you need to present for the first 2 sessions before lunch.
Yep.
People freak out. They're like, I'm going to teach. I'm like, here's the bold. Here's the vocabulary in the green box on the left-hand side. Here's your flashcards. Like
intro, discussion, activity, discussion, done.
Right.
it's beautiful, and teachers love it. Educators love it. If you ever put a JA kit, we call them kits, in front of a professional educator, they look through it. They're like, yeah, this is legit. This backs up all the state mandates that I need to hit. It is well written and well presented. It's very current. When we talk about crypto, it's a great thing. So companies like L3 Harris, Community Credit Union, Space Coast Credit Union, but we need more companies. So that's the first need we have.
If I'm not a large company, because I'm an entrepreneur, we have a small base. How can I be involved?
So usually schools need between 20 and 30 volunteers on a single day. For the smaller companies, medium-sized businesses, what we do is we split it up into a few companies. Right. So PJ and his team might take 4th grade, not 6th grade. 3rd and 4th
Dialed
grade.
in.
So we've had a few J in a days that it's multiple banks: Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Truist, the credit unions. Yeah, actually the credit unions do their own because they're so community oriented that they just do that. We have had real estate days where we have different teams in. We have had. I don't think we've had a manufacturing day. But anyway, you get the idea that if you can provide 4 to 5 volunteers, you can take a grade level.
Right.
And we're covered for another school. So
And you can buddy up in the classroom.
And you can buddy up in the classroom.
The number one thing, like, I got to teach it alone. No, come in with me.
Absolutely.
Do the first one.
Yep.
We do it, then you get to come back and do it.
Then you get to go solo. Or you can bring on a new person and teach them
Ideally,
how to do
bring
it.
in a new person.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the first need. The second need is individual volunteers for secondary programs. So these are, when I first started, we were about 70-80% elementary. We have flipped that. Now we are 70-80% secondary. And the reason is anybody who has raised kids knows that foundation in elementary school is wonderful and it's essential. However, the learning that's happening in secondary school in terms of what our curriculum is, it is so impactful. It is, I can't even tell you the questions we get. Like, how do I go to college and not go into debt? How do I choose a career that I know I'm going to like and I'll make money at? They are wondering these things all the time. So those programs are in classrooms in secondary schools. We need volunteers to deliver those. So middle school, high school, those are usually 6 to 8 sessions once a week over a period of 8 weeks. But the best way to think about that is I have 6 hours of curriculum to deliver within a semester, right? So when you think about it that way, you work out a schedule directly with the teacher. We give you the training, we give you the materials, and then you work out a schedule with the teacher, and it's only 6 hours at that point. So we are really looking for secondary volunteers.
Okay. How else?
speaker series. Oh, hosts of job shadows. So if you have a company like this fine studio that we're in right here, we are looking for places to bring classrooms of students to. So if we can get them out of school into a place, and especially if there's it's interactive, it's interesting, it's fun.
Yeah, you don't want to come to my office.
I know.
Terribly boring.
But we did Cocoa, the Hope Project at Cocoa last year. They did 50 kids went to Parish Medical. So 50 kids. But here's what made that day magic. It was, they heard from everybody from CEO J.A. Laureate, George McIterian, down to the cafeteria workers. And at every level of Parish, those employees showed pride of place, pride of career, told the kids the pros and cons of what they do, the education path they use to get there. And those 50 kids got to look around and say, yeah, I would love to work in a hospital like this. This is cool. So we're looking for those kinds of experiences too. OneWeb Satellites is another one. That's so fun too, because they'll have to put on the protective gear, like the hair net and everything, and they get to walk through this assembly line.
I was imagining hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Hey, could you put me in an astronaut suit real quick? That would be awesome.
But the CEO of OneWeb Satellites started as an apprentice. Right. And worked his way up to CEO. Like, that is exactly the kind of story we love sharing.
If you have a question of how to volunteer, get in contact with one of us. We will make sure that
how to do it. That's So how to do it is to go to the website jaspacecoast.org and click on I would like to volunteer. You'll get a follow up from Bianca, who will ask you some questions like, what age kids do you like? Where do you live? Do you work with a company who would be interested in doing a J in a day? Those types of intro questions. You're just by hitting go on the website does not mean you are signing a contract. It's starting a conversation to see what's the best fit.
Right.
Or you can talk to PG or me.
Right. And I would challenge anybody who's listening or watching to this, right? Like, be the person that gets 4 or 5, because you get 4 or 5 volunteers. They get 4 or 5.
Yes.
One turns into 20. Overnight.
Yeah, because it really is. Kids love JA. It's a really, even though it's more work, it's a heavy lift for volunteering. I'm the first person to say it. It's not picking up the beach in the morning. It's not, packing lunches. It is an educational experience. But the impact that you feel back from those students is equally increased. It is it's a powerful, the first time you get hugged by a crowd of second graders it's a really great day. Yeah. And the high schoolers who recognize you in Publix, and it's just you feel more intimately connected to the community, more you feel the collective mission forward nature of the Space Coast. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. I mean, the Space Coast is a little special.
Yeah.
Right?
It's weird and special.
It's weird and special.
Well, I've lived all over the country, like I said, and I've never lived in a place that is so publicly philanthropic. There really is a spoken out loud mission to improve this place, and that the future generations are going to continue improving this place and enjoy their lives and thrive. And as a head of a nonprofit, this is a pretty fantastic place to be.
Yeah, I would say, a lot of major cities, the major players in those corporations are like, here's a check-in.
Yeah.
Don't call me until next year.
Yes.
Right? And Brevard is just different.
No, it's different. Although I do love big checks too, though.
Here's a check, and my company's going to come volunteer in your classroom.
Exactly.
We're going to double whammy it.
That is the double up. If we can get the investment and the volunteers, it's perfect. So the investment side, so I run J. I've got 50 board members, and we have a full year of revenue streams that happen in all sorts of different ways. Some companies like to golf, and they come to the Golf Classic and get a PJ hat. And some want to support the Stock Market Challenge. Some want to do the Business Hall of Fame. It really depends on your marketing needs, your community presence. Some, and increasingly, companies are saying, nope, I just want it all to go to the J. Hope Project. And what that does is that 4-year time frame for those monies, I'm extending it year by year so that this can go on into, I'm going to try to say it again, forever.
Yeah. You're asking the wrong person to correct any.
The ultimate goal for us, finance-wise, revenue-wise, investor-wise, is to create those partnerships that we get the volunteer base as well as the investment the other goal is sustained investment. So when I think it was my first year, actually, we formed the Ambassador Circle. Parish Medical Center actually came up with the idea that we then ran with. Right. Natalie Sellers said to me, I really like meeting with you, but let's not do it so often. Here's your check. See you in a year. But no, they do all sorts of stuff.
They do a lot of stuff.
They do a lot of stuff. And so what we came up with, the Ambassador Circle, is investors who commit to at least $10,000 per year for at least 3 years. Right. What that does for Jay is it's sustained income. That means I can sleep in January. That means I know I've got a base of revenue that's going to carry us through. What it's also done, though, is it's built on itself. So Parish has turned in, I think I've got 16 Ambassador Circle members now. Yeah. And it is it's an elite group that I am able to market efficiently. They get lots of recognition. I hope they feel recognized. And we do. Okay, good. And it's just a great baseline for giving. The other thing that's happened is that that $10,000, the average give for the Ambassador Circle is now well above $10,000. Yep. So it's become a system for investors to be able to efficiently give and know exactly what they're getting. We make out a plan for the year. It works out great. So, yeah.
One last thought.
Okay. Lay on me.
I'm a stranger and I know nothing about JA. What would you tell me?
I meet lots of strangers and talk about JA. So
do I.
I would do a capsule of what I just said. Yeah. I was like, JA is impacting the future. We are trying to fill in the gaps in education and home for kids, teaching them about the things that as adults we think about every single day. We also connect them with the outside world. There's 2 ways to get yourself involved with JA. One is through volunteering, one's through investing. But I think maybe the most important part is that it's important. It's important work. It's mission work. You get a certain sense of, they say there's one of the key ingredients for happiness in life is purpose. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Purpose. Having something important that you do every day, that you have a direction. And JA can be an added purpose for people's lives. It's a great way to get involved and meet fellow-minded philanthropic people, fellow-minded business people, fellow-minded anybody who care about the kids of the future.
Right. So powerful.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, and that's why when we were sitting thinking of building Brevard, like, okay, I'm in real estate, so obviously we're going to talk about some home builders and that, yep. But how else are we building Brevard? And I couldn't think of a better organization and person to talk about building the youth of Brevard. So
thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on and looking forward to seeing you on the next one.